All right, how's it going? My name is Stephen Costigan.
My name is Mark Potiphar.
And my name is Pedro Ortiz.
And missing from us is Alexander Doms, and we are the front end team working on this Andex project. So to start with, just wanted to say that we had to convert our previous project from PHP to React. This was fraught with a lot of challenges, seeing as the existing code was full of errors and the routing did not work at all. And so we had to interpret it the best we could. And so it's possible that some of the routing assumptions that were made are false and will need to be rectified in the coming semester. So to start with, this view that you see represents a logged out user or a user with no login credentials. They would come here and have the event selection or whatever the front end first splash screen would look like. And this might consist of multiple events or otherwise, but this is the view that they agreed with, which is these two events. And this is based on the existing PHP project and how that original splash screen looked. We tried to stay true to that in as many ways as we could, while also making it responsive and with Bootstrap and many other things that it did not have. So we had to, we left this as about as close to the original as we could with responsiveness. So the user is able to select an event, and then they are prompted to either sign in or sign up. And if they sign up, they're presented with a number of different navigational items. They're also able to contact someone at the organization to find out information about an event or otherwise. And these are obviously all different forms that they can fill in. So now I'm going to shift on the end that you can't see what you can see. So I'll pretend that we have a logged in user. The reason I'm doing it on the other end is because we were not able to, we did not have time during the semester to incorporate the back end. That was worked on separately, but we had so much work with the conversion of layouts and cleaning up old and stacked code that unfortunately we weren't able to implement the back end by the end of the semester. A big part also to not only the inexperience, but also to having only been able to start the project halfway through the semester. So that also did not help. So anyway, I've changed now the state. As you can see here, there are a number of new options. We have register for an event. So a user is able to, after they select their event, register for that event. And we weren't sure based on the previous PHP object, whether they would select the seat here or in their in the checkout. So you can see here, they might be able to select seats in the checkout. We left that disabled because that feature we just did not have a layout for and had no understanding of how that was to be implemented, but interpretation can be added here. But ideally the user would select seats and prices would be specified for those different seats. But in our case, we decided to implement something basic with the seat selection. And this is again a placeholder. This is an object stored, and these are just the default values that are put in. And this information would just be pulled from the API to fill in. So from probably the profile would be where my name is Bob is selected. The event would be populated here. And this is here as an event QR code. And that is actually, it changes with how many seats, what information is here, and so forth. And so that's a nice little feature. And I'll talk more about that when we look at the code. The user profile has some very basic information. So here's the user's information, Fred Flintstone. If I want to make changes to that, I can. Here's all that. So if I'd say Fred Flintstone 2, let's say, oops, I'd make changes again. It's not letting me put a character in there. It's interesting. Huh, I'll have to look at that. So also the payment data, which we didn't want to show the payment data because that's a security problem, and activity data. And so after the user can make changes, obviously, to their account information, and that will be changed before this is pushed. It's probably just some little thing that I added while I was messing around. And so that's the user profile. So now the next tier of access is a level 2 access, which represents someone from, say, an organizer of an event or something, and they have this little admin tab here, which allows them to edit an event or add or edit an event. So if we go here, This is a layout that did not exist in the previous, but here is a placeholder for that. Add or edit event, here is a table. This was included in the previous and we weren't sure where it was going, so we left it here with a little bit of bootstrap cleanup on that. Moving up to level 3. Now a lot of this is fairly basic, again, because a lot of our work went to conversions. And you can see there's a whole new list of objects. So add or privileged user, user management. Again, neither of them were in the original. Reporting, and now there's a lot of work to go with reporting, which I will show in a minute. Participant meaning is a placeholder, and I will have to remove that. The report data feed, venues admin, again, not in the original add or edit and edit admin, as well as add or edit an event. So that's the same page as before. Now going to the code, there's a lot to discuss there. So first and foremost, the different permission levels, which again would come from the API, right now is represented just by this little 3 that is manually put in here, but again, it would be data pulled from the API, allows the user to access different things. So this is just the nav bar, and the routes also work in that same way. A level 1 user, for example, can access level 1 routes as well as these ones here. A level 2 user can access those routes as well as these routes and these routes, and level 3 likewise. And then these routes are accessible by everyone, where a 404 is just any route that does not meet any of these criteria. Say, for example, I went to try and go to edit event, and I was, or events admin, or let's see, edit venue. Let's go to that one. So edit venue, for example. So I guess we can remove these 2 because they're right here. So if we go to edit venue, for example, or a venues list, as a level 2 user, we would not be able to, and we would be 404'd out of there to something that they can access. So similarly, we have the reporting view, which again was not fully discussed. And what's happening here, getting rid of those 2, and most of what was worked on here was not the options drop downs, which obviously from the fact that there was a some participant things, was the charts. So each of these has different chart data that comes from the data coming in, and that was not fully implemented, but there is placeholder information there for the chart return, for example, which would take the properties passed in and try and return some kind of report. But again, that was not fully implemented due to time constraints. But that was something that would be worked on likely in the future to display in the report sense how the delivery experience was, customer service, sound quality, price of ticket, and so forth. Now, there were a lot of challenges, as said, with the existing code. One of the least of which was that a lot of these shared classes, and so it became an issue trying to untangle classes that get added a little bit to a class here and a little bit there, and that was a big cause for tangling and untangling throughout the process. And we kept a lot of what we could from the original, but otherwise we tried very, very hard to incorporate the same interface which had been approved previously. And at the end of the day, a lot of the placeholder layouts were done in the spirit of knowing that there would be more work done on this. And so we wish the next groups luck on this, and also would like to thank the front end team for their hard work throughout this semester. Thank you.